What is up, people? This is Shreds from Top Knot Productions, bringing back episode 5 of the Space Marines. I know it's been a little while since I put one up, but, life gets in the way. Also picked up the X-Men Destiny, and I'm doing live commentary with that one. I'm still kind of getting used to that setup, so the first couple episodes, the sound is a little quiet on, but it's not a huge deal. You can still make out what I'm saying. Not a lot to say because that game is kind of a movie that you play similar to Metal Gear Solid 4 style. There's a lot of cutscenes, a lot of talking going on, but I should have the first 3 episodes of that up posted along with this video, so check that out. There should be some annotations running around, all that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the 2012 games that I'm looking forward to. So the last couple I talked about were SWTOR, which is actually going to be released this year, Counter-Strike Global Operations, Fable the Journey, Ninja Gaiden, Soul Calibur, a bunch of stuff. First one I want to talk about today is actually Dragon's Dogma. This is a game I'm amazingly looking forward to. I can't explain how I feel about this game because it's just going to be amazing. The things they've done with it are going to be great. If you haven't heard anything about it, check it out. It essentially is going to be an action adventure kind of RPG type thing. The story for it so far is that you start out as a normal person in a fishing village. One day your fishing village gets attacked by a giant dragon. If that's not awesome enough, you end up actually talking to the dragon and find out that you're quote-unquote a chosen one. The dragon then rips out your heart and takes it with him. Supposedly, somewhere, I don't know if it's hours or days later, you wake up as a quote-unquote enlightened one. And you have to begin an adventure in which you go and kill this dragon and take your heart back. If that's not an awesome setup, then I don't know what is. From there, it just gets better. Because you essentially have to use these stones to gather a party. I know it sounds kind of hokey, but what you do is actually, I'm not quite sure if you would accurately describe them as ghosts or ethereal beings, but you use, I think they call it a nexus stone, and you can pull party members from the ether. I don't know where it is. This magical place of wonderful party members. I don't know. And you have various types. There's 3 different classes you can choose to set off with to make your own enlightened one. It's a typical melee, a magician, and what they call a speedy strider, so I'm going to guess that's more like a rogue archer type thing. We'll see from there. I'll most likely go with just a straight up guy with a giant sword or axe, but we'll see when that comes out. But the cool thing about your party mates is one of them you can actually, or well, beyond your control, will be available on the internet for other people to pick up. So let's say you have a friend that picks up the game and they're further along than you. They can pick up your party member, take them along in the adventures with them, and then when you get to that point in the game, your party member will tell you what's going to happen. And it will actively work to improve your other party members and yourself. So it will tell you, hey, watch out for this trap. The spikes are going to fall from the sky or something when you get to that point, let's say. And it's going to, they'd say your friend finds a secret chest, it will tell you about the secret chest, supposedly. Again, this is all in pre-production. I don't have any hands-on experience for it. This is what I'm reading, and I'm quite excited for it. Like I said, the end game of that would be to get the dragon, your heart back from the dragon. I don't know what happens after that. But there are trailers out where you're fighting other monsters. One of them, there's a fight with a griffin, and that's going to be kind of awesome. You can check out the trailers here on the wonderful YouTubes. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of information on the game. They're speculating gameplay is going to be somewhere between 30 and 100 hours. That's going to be an amazingly long game. Other facts from that one, they haven't said anything about multiplayer other than your friends being able to use your companions. but I'm hoping there's some type of multiplayer for that, because I have a lot of friends that'll be interested in this game as well. Next thing I want to hit on, grab my pen real quick, is going to be the new Twisted Metal. They didn't really give a name to it other than Twisted Metal, but this is going to be a re-release of the long-awaited series of Twisted Metal. I was reading about this one. My throat's a little dry here. Reading about this, and one of the multiplayer modes that caught my attention was just called Nuke. And essentially, you're divided up into teams. I believe it's just one team on one team. They didn't say how many players per team. But essentially, each team has a leader. So let's say you're the clown, so Sweet Tooth is your leader. The other team has to capture your leader and sacrifice it to a missile launcher. This missile launcher will be then launched and player controlled, and you have to hit the other team's statue, which is being carried around by a helicopter. And you have to hit it 3 times in order to win the game. How in-depth that'll be and how hard anything will be to control, how hard the leaders will be to capture, and so on and so forth, unknown so far, but it sounds interesting. Not really any details on any single player mode, anything like that. If it looks good as it develops, I'll maybe picking that up. Not a whole lot to go on there. As far as I read, there's 4 different factions. The clowns, the preachers, the dolls, and something else. I don't remember. If you know, leave it in the comments. I'm sure people will be interested. Water, tasty. Next game I wanted to hit on would be Mass Effect 3. This game has got a lot of attention. I'm sure you guys know a lot about it. For those that don't, check it out. It's going to be amazing. The final chapter for Captain Shepard, or Commander Shepard, I'm sorry, everyone's hating me now because I said that. But it's Commander Shepard. It will wrap up his/her story with whichever one you've decided to make. And it takes place after the Arrival DLC for Mass Effect 2. So if you've played that, you already know right up to the point of the events of Mass Effect 3. From what I've read about that one, just about everybody is going to be available as far as squad mates. However, if they died in your previous games and you work off a previous game save, they will not be available. Another cool thing about that, let's say you played Mass Effect 1 and 2 and had love interests from those games, they will compete for your love in the Mass Effect 3. And you'll be forced to choose by the end of that game. What else? Essentially the story is Earth is attacked. Everyone is forced off of Earth that survives, and Commander Shepard has to go around and get the support of other alien races in order to perform a counterattack to get Earth back. And from what I've read, they won't tell anything about the ending, but it is possible to lose the battle. So it's possible that Earth will not be recovered. Very interesting. A lot of games will make the choice just to, no matter what happens, we get Earth back, essentially. So it's nice that they've given the option to completely lose the planet. Not something a lot of people are brave enough to do. The 2 more games to talk about on my list tonight. I've got 3 more minutes. I can buzz through them real quick. The one I don't have a whole lot of information on because it was just recently announced that I'm looking forward to is Hitman Absolution. I played all the previous Hitman games. I loved them. My family loves them. Well, the ones that play video games anyway. So I'm really looking forward to this. They've made a lot of revolutionary things to the gameplay. There's not going to be any map or anything like that. And they've also, I was interested to read, that they've taken out the manual save feature. So you won't be able to save the game in case you mess up. Whatever you do is done, regardless. So no more killing sprees. No more, oops, I messed up, let me go back to this one point in the mission. It's essentially finish the mission with what you've done, or start all over again. So that's interesting. They're going a lot more of a hardcore route with that. It's not the same voice actor for Agent 47, so that's very interesting that they've decided to change that up. There is actually a petition running around the internet apparently to get that voice actor back. We'll see how that develops. Who knows? They've gotten rid of the map in favor of what they called an instinct mode, which if you played any of Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham Asylum, you had detective mode, which is essentially what they've akin to that. Another interesting feature they set up is if any of you played Red Dead Redemption, where you had the time freeze and you could place shots. They have something like that, and they called it tag and bag. Interesting name. We'll see how that works out. That's all I've heard. There was, as far as locales for the game, apparently one mission takes place in Chicago, but the rest of them are within the United States of America, so no foreign travel on this one. It's been rumored that Agent 47 hits a low point and has to rebuild himself, hence the title, but I can't confirm any of that. The last game on our list is SSX. If any of you remember the series back in the day from Electronic Arts, the snowboarding games. This one was actually revealed back in 2010 under the title SSX Deadly Descents. Try and say that 5 times fast. But apparently the game is not as dark as it was portrayed back in 2010, but it will still have some. Not quite sure what happened there with that one. From what I'm reading, the trailers looked it was taking the game in a quote-unquote much darker direction, but that apparently was a misrepresentation. They're going to include many of the old and some new gameplay mechanics, and will still feature the same bright and arcadey style. One interesting thing about this is it's a snowboarding game, sure, but they've done an interesting thing where they've actually taken a lot of the geotagging information from NASA, as you watch me die, and generated levels off of that. And you can they've integrated helicopters. The interesting thing was that you can actually use wingsuits now. But that will wrap this up, and I'll talk more a little later. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you guys later.